everyone. And thanks, Shiva, and especially thanks for the time check. I think that mechanism is good. Hi, I'm Veena Brahmakal. I had the talent supply chain, or the staffing as we call in our organization. I have with me Savita, who is the talent acquisition lead, and also Nikhila, who is part of our team.
Hello. Hi.
So we want to present Fractal's best practices. I will not cover too much on the Fractal overview. I think Shashi, who spoke in the morning, has already done that. So we would want to skip that in the interest of time. And the thing what we want to present today is, the concept to realization of overall talent supply chain. Just to give you a background, Fractal, though it's a 24-year-old organization, it did not have a workforce management or a resource management team even 6 years back. We started this in 2018 when I joined. So the need is more. So what we saw is an exponential growth in Fractal's journey. So if, for example, from 2018 and 19 to till now, we have seen a 5x of headcount growth. So that probably necessitated that we need to have a resource management team. Before that, I think the company was pretty small. Everyone knew everyone, and they were offline managing all of the project deployments and all of that. So in 2018, we sort of established.
I can.
Yeah. So in 2000, just skip all this and go to the staffing because we don't want to spend much.
You don't want to see this?
Yeah, we can probably start off with the term.
Okay.
In the interest of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we established this in 2018. With sort of, me and my other person as 2-member team. And by end of 19, I think we had a 5-member team. The headcount today, when we started, it was around 1,000 people. And today we are around 4,000 plus, or touching 5,000. The first thing what we did in the initial days was our focus was to understand how the organization works. I would, dare to say that we literally were operating like a typical startup when we started, with having a very basic in-house allocation management as an in-house tool, and some demand raising, happening in the same in-house tool. So that was the thing, and we had a very basic HRMS platform also when we started off. But from there, I think we realized very soon that this doesn't work and we need to scale up. So the long-term objective of this staffing function was, of course, as we all know, is to get the right person, the right time to the right project. So that being the long-term objective, what we did is to first start off with the staffing vision, and we just put the charter. So very clear. I think most of the organizations and all of us leaders here, I'm sure we all are pretty familiar with this, to know what will be our staffing strategy, the policies, what do we need to bring in, the guidelines, also enable with the technology, and how do we measure ourselves. I think we started off with this, and of course, supporting this is the high-performing team, which will drive the client success. We also curated something called as the staffing principles. I would say if one USP of Fractal is culture, and also very heavy people-centric, and we put many of the things on the principles, and that is what is the guiding factor for us. So we also did have the staffing principles, which clearly talks about the ownership, mobility, visibility, and transparency. I'll talk about these when I come to the challenges so that you will know how do we operationalize this. It's easier probably to put all the principles together in a document, but how do we really operationalize this and see that in the day-to-day life? I think that's what is more important. This one is more of a glimpse. I know the slide is pretty cluttered. This is the journey what we have seen from the 2018 to till now. As I said, initially the process was one of the key area for us to see how are we going to bring things together, centralize it. We made this a global function. And also we came up with the allocation principles. We had a lot of process and guidelines. There was no internal IJP process or anything, so we had to introduce them. So giving some examples on what we did. Similarly, on the technology, we mostly had in-house, and we had a couple of ATS. I'm sure Savita can talk about the 8 years journey here. And we being a AI and analytics company, automation is something that we really focus on. So I can talk, multiple examples of automation. You can see initially when we started, we hardly had anything. And today we have very good examples to showcase on the automation front. Similarly, on the governance, in fact, I remember even setting up the basic, KPIs and the metrics on what are we going to measure ourselves with. Not only we as a staffing team or a talent supply chain team, but also at an org level, what is it that we should measure? So those were some of the initial discussions I can remember. All of this has led to the client satisfaction. Unique thing in Fractal is NPS. We don't only get the client NPS, but we have a function level NPS. So the talent supply chain, we have a NPS. Savita and team, for the talent acquisition. Similarly, it is there for an admin, for HC, for legal. So that's pretty unique. And you can see how the NPS, has been going on the upward trend. Apart from that, we also have, in the staffing function, as you all know, we also do the bench management. So we also have the CSAT, or the survey that we take from people on bench, just to know how our team is functioning. So that's also one of the unique metrics that we have. So these are some of the highlights of the 5-6 year journey. Okay, this is very quickly to show what are the KPIs that has kept us on track. One is, this side is on the enterprise level, where you can clearly see the headcount growth. Naturally, the client billable FTE, there is a growth. Revenue is on the upward trend. Utilization, we struggled in 22, but now you can clearly see there is again an upward trend. And same goes with the EBITDA. But where we really focus, or our core, this thing is again in the client NPS. That's been one of the strong thing for us. Similarly, if you see even in the talent supply chain function, our internal fulfillment, like using the internal pool, bench, or any IJP, rotations, I think that's on the upward trend. The dependency on hiring is reduced. That doesn't mean we are not attracting talent. I think since the COVID period, we have seen one of the highest, there's 65% of growth and all of that. But for the niche roles, because of the planning, I think many of the niche roles, the hiring dependency is reduced. Also, the time taken to fulfill, you can see that the number of days or the turnaround time to client has come down. This is between both the talent acquisition team and the internal. Similarly, another metric what we are very focused on is what's our bench ratio to HC. So when we say bench ratio here, at any point of time, what is our bench? And also we do a lot of proactive hiring, the capacity hiring, as we all know. So even that's another thing that's really good. The average bench aging was a time that people spend on bench. So that's also we are seeing a great thing. All of this naturally is resulted in NPS and the good score for the staffing team. Move on. Yeah, the utilization is one, and I probably the internal fulfillment and other things. So with all of this, I think there are a couple of, how did we do all of this in the 6 year journey? We have we faced multiple challenges. The first thing was probably to drive the change management, pretty difficult. But still, we were able to show, turn around things in the long thing. But we just want to focus today on 3 main challenges. One is, do you want to address this, or you please pitch in?
I'll pitch in.
Yeah. So one of the challenges I'm sure you all can relate is how do we strike a balance between the people aspirations and client needs, right? Every employee wants, has an aspired role. I don't want to do this, but I just want to do that. The other side of the grass is always green sorts. But having said that, we need to balance that. And all the client needs, I don't think it's not very unfamiliar. All requirements, they needed people yesterday, right? All the demand hitters as immediate. So we really struggled with this. And I think we have made a pretty good headway. And what we did is, to actually do a problem solving around this. And every problem solving I want to call out here includes, all the business folks. For example, we take Shashi and team who are, part of the technology team, though it is a problem of the talent to solve for it. So what we did is we did come out with some principles and the guidelines where we could operationalize it. I will quote a couple of examples here. One is on the allocation principles. As we know, we allocate people to the projects. So what we did, keeping in mind the client first value, usually what happens is when a person is on a project, the project completes, they just are made available usually to everyone else to pick the person or to deploy into other projects. So via allocation principles, what we did is, the client teams have a flexibility to hold a person for 2 weeks in anticipation with the new source that will come, which is very fairly, common case. So they don't lose the person. So they get to know that, okay, I can hold this person for 2 weeks. In case I can't, then they are going to release the person. So I think we made a lot of such allocation principle changes. The other thing what I can also remember is, when we started off, the bench or all the capacity hiring was at a central level. So going forward, what we did is we had a bench at every BU, and the flexibility what they got, the client teams got, I think that has definitely helped us to derive the client first thing. So coming on the second, how do we manage people aspirations? I really want to quote a couple of disruptive process and policies what we have here. One is mobility policy. Shashi briefly touched upon this. We have a mobility policy which says an employee can opt to go out of the project and just give a 2 months notice, like how anyone you resign and you go out. But you should have completed 6 months in the project. So in fact, we started off this with as an 18-month, but that was looking like too long. So we again refined that. And today we run this with a 6-month policy, which is really a game changer. I mean, we do see a lot of people who move across projects. They get to do different work. At the same time, there is no disruption to client because you mandatorily have to give a 2-month notice. So that's been one of the game changer. Second, career track change program, where we along with HC, we run this track change programs. We do float internal job postings. We attract the applications from people. Analysts can move into a data science role, for example. So we have these career track change programs where the people will have to clear some assessments, move on. Of course, even their designation changes and all of those things part of the program. The third one is pretty interesting. We actually call the career choice guideline as a silver bullet policy. Now, what does this say is, you can say no to a role. So even if you're on bench, you can actually say no to a role, which I believe not many organizations in the industry offer to employees. Now, they can say no to probably one role in 6 months, and we do track that. Of course, if they're on bench, the second role or the next one, they have to take it. But they have the freedom to say no for whatever reasons they have. And we respect that. So that's the freedom of choice and the career choices that we can make. We strongly believe in saying, you are the CEO of your career in Fractal. So that's, I think, one of the game changers. Now, these type of solutions, which is, whatever I spoke today, is in force and live. And what's the impact that what we have seen is definitely a quick response to client. We have been very transparent with the career choices for people to make. So that's been very good. So the increase in the fulfillment rates and even the turnaround time to the client and the clarity that this is driving, I think this is one of the good one. Can move on. Nikhila? Savita, you want to talk about?
I just don't, I think we are almost the end of time. We can just run through this. Yeah, sure, you can carry on. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. So I'll just take a very few minutes on this. I think this is a common problem across organizations. You have multiple platforms, right? How do you integrate Many platforms work in silos, many processes run in silos. So that was one of the challenges that we really faced. And how did we overcome? Is, we just had to revamp our the tech landscape for sure. We got a new interactive HCM there. We enabled all the API integrations. How long are you going to download the Excel and do all of that? So we today have a well integrated system. And any problem solving, as I said, we will usually have user-centric approach. So we have the business teams participating in driving the solution. We also have started the Fractal information portal, some staffing portals, one stop where you can get everything. The best one is, I believe, is on the Gen AI user automation.
I think I can talk a little bit about that.
Yes, please.
So Gen AI automation has been a big success for us because most of the everyday routine activities and any questions what the employees have, it can be as simple as getting letters generated through a shared services, or asking about how to apply for an IGP, or asking about what are the internal job postings, or applying for referring a candidate, or employee referrals. All that is at the tip of our fingertips. We have a chatbot, and we can do it in a matter of a few seconds, and that itself has been an extremely useful automation that we have brought about. And since we are a data AI company, we most of the new things that we try and bring about, what we want to give our clients, we first try it out internally as well, and that has helped us in reducing the need of manual interventions and people answering questions, and employees can get answers in a matter of a few seconds. So all this has helped us a lot. We use Workday as our ATS as well as our HRMS. So both of them are integrated. That helps us in seamless flow of information. There's one important thing what I wanted to touch upon, although I know we didn't explain too much about Fractal because Shashi had touched upon it, is about our secret to success is our people policies. We have we are very people focused, and it's a people over processes environment that we have. And what we do is that people are the center of all our, we put more focus on what is the need of our employees rather than what are the policies and the processes. And that makes it a little high touch, but at the same time more friendly to the employees, and helps us in our staffing and in our hiring as well.
Yeah. We definitely
culture is a secret sauce.
Yeah, whatever we do. Move on, Nikhila.
Are we time up?
Yeah. Are we up on time? 5 more minutes? Okay, fine. Okay. So
this is just the graphs on fulfillment versus the bench age and sizing, and bench down, cost is down, and also we have a strong recruiting system in where we keep hiring all through the year, so that it helps us in our staffing as well.
Yeah. So to summarize couple of, if we have to say what is our key wins, definitely our fulfillment rate is pretty good. I think we saw in 2020 peak fulfillment of 90%, which is really good. And also even today we have around 75 plus as our fulfillment rate. And of course that is, we are driving cost efficiency. There are a lot of recognitions. I would probably touch upon these two more as the key wins, apart from the revenue and the cost optimization, right? One is on the people choice, because we being the people-centric organization, our processes revolve around the people. We have empowered the people to make their own choice, right? So I think if you remember Shashi was telling us, there is a everyday ping that comes to us on our Teams chat from the HC telling how are you feeling today, and we actually take that data and analyze, and I think we do that happiness index also. Right. So because people can have their own choice here, that index has been pretty stable for years now. And also the Gen AI automation, what Savita touched upon, the chatbot and the virtual assistants using this chatbot is really working. For example, anyone on bench today can just go and ask what is the status of my profile, and the chatbot can tell you. Project manager can come to the chatbot and ask, who are the people on bench, whom can I sort of look for my project requirements. The chatbot will send you the list of people with their skill sets. So these are some of the, very basic, and even as employees, we all, even if you have to apply leave, we just have to go and, give that command to the chatbot and it goes to the workday and apply. So it's all small things, but the user experience is at the centric. Yeah. And if you ask us what sets us apart, maybe there are some solutions which is there in other organizations, but really what sets us apart is our culture and the people centricity. And these are the people principles, what is driven in the, and it's not just the principles that's there, because we derive every process in this backdrop.
Yeah, whenever we write a process or a policy, we first go back to
yes, go back to this.
We say that does it fulfill the people, the principles, and then we write our policies based on that.
Yeah. So even the staffing principles, as we said, we say ownership and mobility and visibility and transparency. All of this again reinforce and is in the overarching principle of the people principles. Yeah. And you can also see what we all Fractalites are very used to is that client before fractal, fractal before team, and team before self. This is something which is every Fractalite sort of
is ingrained in everyone.
It's pretty ingrained in us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the how are we thinking as a talent supply chain on the future ready? Building engines of scale for the long term is something that is really required. I think Fractal is sort of Shrikant's favorite project today is the 100-year vision for the organization. So I think that's something very exciting for us. We of course are working around the supply strategy, which keeps changing. Yeah, and the technology and the regular process consult, excellence and the performance management. So these have been the future ready. I think we had some key learnings, of course, and the best practices in this journey, naturally. I think the key learnings, of course, collaboration, especially in our organization, given that we are more people-centric is a key to us. User experience, continuous improvements, all of that is something that I believe is across organizations. Yeah. Last not but the least, we really learn from mistakes. We don't shy away from making mistakes, and in the journey, we don't forget to have fun. I think those are the pretty strong key learnings from our journey.
Any questions?
We'll take a pause in the interest of time. If there are any questions, happy to answer. Yes, please.
You mentioned about the skill taxonomy.
Sorry.
Skill taxonomy. The org level skill taxonomy.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. So we recently did a career architecture as a project. Okay, and we derived the skill taxonomy. Even at the start, we had the skill across capability, across domain, or even the behavioral skill sort of spread across. Our JDs were not consistent, so we had to regroup all of this. So what we did is we got all the skill, the leaf skills, as we call the unit skills, all of them clustered into the specialization and the categorization. So this was an org level initiative that we did, and today we can confidently say we have a very defined skill taxonomy. So now that skill taxonomy is fed into the workday, which is our ATS. So that is used to create a demand, and that is what we are also proposing for all employees to update their skills. So there is a common language between the demand and the supply.
It comes from the fact that you define competencies for every role.
Yes.
And then what are the in terms of technical competencies that are needed for every role and for every grade, and then it's all bucketed into a structured format.
Yeah. And it's an evolving, right? It's just not one-time activity. Of course, we now have a starting point, and we are evolving from there.
Yeah.
See, I think we all have this cloud, the skill cloud database, right? Of course, we have industry experts who we have taken, and the market insights and the research. We also consulted with the Deloitte as a professional, as a consultant and partner with us to understand, how that works. And of course, people like Shishi and our data science leads, they all work very closely with these consultants and the internal team to derive at the skill taxonomy. Yeah.
Yep. Very good presentation, and I think
Thank you.
very relevant
Thanks.
to our context also, because we are also going through same exercise
Okay.
at our organization Talent.
Yeah.
Okay. One question I have is regarding your KRAs, what you have defined, internal fulfillment and hiring dependency.
Yes.
How do you measure it? What is the numerator? What is the denominator for both of them?
So-
Internal fulfillment and hiring dependency.
Sure.
See, we try our best to do internal fulfillment, but then the hiring engine works in such a way that we have a list of perennial skills that we hire all the time, right? So those we don't stop hiring, we keep hiring and filling in and getting in the people, and then the staffing team will take care of allocating them to the different projects. So most of it, if you look at it, fulfillment wise, it looks like internal fulfillment happens. That's the main thing what we look at. That's the first thing we look at. But then we also keep the feed on from the back end, so that we are never short of people when we need them.
Yeah, and also when we calculate
Yeah.
what exactly we calculate with the internal fulfillment, what's the number of demand we got, how many we were able to fulfill using the internal talent, right?
Yeah.
That's a straightforward derivation of the
So one of the basic things we want to follow to the other slide was OTIF, that is on time in full.
On
right?
time in full,
So that's
yeah.
something what we look at.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Have you seen significant shift in attrition numbers since you
Yes.
If you can share some.
Yes. I think today we are at 15%.
Yeah, 15.
So last fiscal also we were at 15%,
15 to
and even now we
yeah.
are at 15%. I'm sure during the COVID the industry saw a very high attrition and there was sort of a bubble, right?
Post-COVID,
And you
yeah.
saw. But post COVID we have definitely seen all of this coming down, and we are trending around 15% today. There's definitely a shift in the attrition numbers. I would also want to add, not only in the attrition numbers, which probably is an easy thing for us to measure, but even in the ground or the pulse when you see on the ground with the people, right? There's a major shift.
Yeah. And we also have a large number of people coming back.
Coming back, oh yeah, that's a good point.
Returning, that's why we say once a fractalite, always
Always a
fractalite.
fractal.
So
That's actually a tagline.
one of our
You can
taglines.
see that. Lot of people coming back.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Here, this side.
Yes, please.
You spoke a lot about Gen AI.
Yes.
Can you mention one use case, since it's a very people-centric thing, any use case which
Yes,
you can
many,
share?
many.
Yeah.
I can mention many. One is, just to call out, we have a Gen AI team, and we are driving today Gen AI for everyone as a training. For example, Nikhila, me, all of us have attended the Gen AI training, just to give you a background. So our own L&D team runs this for every employee in the organization. A few use cases using Dexter, which is our chatbot. You can ask for, the employee wants to ask for a experience letter. You just have to type, you will get it in 30 seconds. Okay, you ask for address proof, because there are many people who relocate, they need some address proof for whatever reason. So you can ask for it.
Shared services kind
All
of.
your HC shared services, you just have to ask and you get
So
it.
this is a conversational AI.
It's a conversational
and we have
AI.
put the layer of Gen AI on
Which
top
can
of
be
it.
fetched from your saved database.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. All of the HC shared services and the HC ops is on our chatbot today. We are extending that to the talent supply chain. For example, Savita and team have done a great job in getting all the referrals, right? You can just go and tell the chatbot, I have this referral, this is the role or whatever, there's some thing, and you can just go and refer. And what we have done in the staffing is to similar use case. Employee can say, what is the matching role for me? Where can I apply? Do I have a data science job in Gurgaon? So it shows, and you can just say, okay, I'm fine with this, go and apply, and it will apply for you on workday. So yeah.
Yeah, we're also building some internal assessment tools as well.
Yeah.
For hiring. We're building some internal assessment tools where we're using the concepts of Gen AI so that the questions get generated in real time and we don't have to depend on a question bank or a repository. Like now we use external testing platforms, some of the commercially available ones for all our testing because everyone goes through assessments for most of the roles here, including campus and lateral. So we're building our own tool which will kind of reduce the dependency on that, and also there'll be no repetition of questions. You'll get to know about the questions, and it's you have to keep refreshing the repository all the time. So we are using Gen AI to generate the questions so that it will help us in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can take one more question probably, and Shiva, then we can hand over to the next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you match your demands with the supply?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Match your demand to the supply.
How do you match your demand and supply?
How do we match the demand and supply? Okay, great.
So you, first of all, the answer is you cannot match most of the time, but we try to match.
We
Yes.
try
So
to
that's
match.
why planning. Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah. So one, the demand supply match. We do have, one of the very good Gen AI use case I can probably share here is developed by one of our delivery team, not even a Gen AI team, but a delivery team. It's called Resumate. It's probably available also for the users outside Fractal, where you can actually give a demand and a supply, and you can see the percentage of mapping. Okay, so that's available. Now, how extensively can you use it? Because it is still getting developed. Today, you can probably give one demand and you can give all the profiles in bench, and it will give you a matching today. Okay, but we want to extend this, telling I'll give you multiple demand, multiple profiles, and give me a thing. That's still in the works. But having said that, I think the demand supply matching also happens offline, which is still something that we work on.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shiva.
Thanks, Shiva. Thanks for this platform.
Thanks.